I want to welcome you, as I know you've been welcomed by my other friends, but it is a true joy to spend time with you tonight, and our time together is an absolute gift. My name is Orelia Bell, and I was born in 1864, and I died in 1959. My life was lived immersed in language and music and love. Now, many people thought that my work was too romantic, but I make no apologies, for the Bible tells us that those who do not know love do not know God, for God is love. Now, I was raised in a family of wealth here in Atlanta, and my beloved parents, Marcus and Mary Jane, are buried with me right here at Oakland, just over my left shoulder. Now, my father was well known for his fiery political pamphlets, and from him I learned to love language and have a passion for words. But my mother taught me about love. Only 3 of her children survived to adulthood. Life is fleeting, she said, but love is eternal. As for me, I was told I was a pretty child with the face of a flower, but I was never too interested in the so-called womanly arts of domestic life and marriage. I was wild with ideas and I had great ambitions. I wanted to be a writer, and I became an author at a young age. Now, as my reputation grew, my poetry would be published in the Atlanta Constitution and other newspapers and magazines around the country. And I achieved some success very early on. One of my very special friends was Susan Mims, who was the wife of then Mayor Livingston Mims, and she was the founder of the First Church Christ Scientist here in Atlanta. Most of my enduring work, actually, is the book of hymns that I wrote for her and her church. But every poet needs a muse. And I finally found mine when I was nearly 30 years old. Ida Jane Ashe. Here's what I wrote about our very first encounter. How did she come to me? Destiny? Blown in like a feather, a crash of wandering stars, a freak of weather? I only know 'twas night, a voice, a flash, then day, and Ida Ashe. My Ida was born poor and grew up in North Georgia. But a chance encounter with Mr. Young Harris, for whom the university is named, inspired her to get an education. And one of the things that she did best was recitation. When I first heard Ida speak one of my poems out loud, I thought I'd heard the voice of angels, and we became very fast friends. Now, I told you I had some wild ideas, and one of those was that Ida should marry my cousin, W.T. Asbury, because then we could be family. But W.T. was a little bit awkward. So I introduced them, they courted, they married, and the 3 of us moved into a house together, just as planned. Now, I thought this was going to be my happily ever after, but within 6 weeks, I had to swear out a warrant against W.T. for rifling through my luggage looking for my money and jewelry. As a nationally renowned author, it was a little bit of a scandal, but most of the newspapers were very kind and sympathetic to Ida and me, except for that one newspaper in Chicago, which decided that W.T. might possibly have a complaint because, as they said, his happiness was disturbed by the presence of 2 women in the household who found sufficient happiness together, which of course we did. And the marriage ended, but not one to dwell on the past. I had another idea, that we should move to California. This was the early 1900s. It was the age of the new woman. Old Victorian ideas about femininity were being challenged, and the women's right to vote was just around the corner. So we moved to the coast, and we loved it there. I could sit outside every day in the sunshine and write my poetry and music with Ida right by my side. You know, my success sure was due to my hard work, but Ida's constant affection and encouragement were my chief sources of inspiration. We were together for more than 50 years. We're still together. She's lying right by my side here at Oakland. Now, before I let you go on your journey, see the last one of my friends tonight, I did take a moment to write a little verse just for you, just for this occasion. Let me see if I can read it in this light. How shall I leave you, my friends, as your journey continues, but our time together ends? Shall I leave you a word of hope, a little bit of wisdom essential? I think the words I choose will be my guiding principle. They're words you once heard, were most maternal. Life is fleeting, she said, but love is eternal. Go in peace, go in joy, and go in love. Thank you so much for being here tonight.